We are joined by a candidate for Allegheny County District Attorney, Matt Dugan. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Very glad to have you on. You recently won your primary against Steve Zappala, and I actually want to start there because it had one of the results that I find kind of frustrating in politics quite often is that you won the nomination. You're a Democrat. He had been a Democratic incumbent for many, many years at this point, but is not anymore. So can you update on us what happens now after that primary?
Yeah, so Steve Zappala had been the Democrat serving as district attorney in Allegheny County for the past 24 years. He was actually appointed to that position. His father was the Chief Justice of Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and there was a vacancy in the district attorney's office, and magically the judges voted to fill that vacancy with someone who had never practiced criminal law before. But so
I did not know that. I actually did not know that he did not have a background in criminal law. Jeez.
Yeah, but so he went unchallenged for 20 years actually. So it wasn't until 2019 did he face a primary challenger, and unfortunately there were some stumbles out of the gate with the first opponent. And we weren't able to take that seat. But 4 years went by, and the progressive movement in Allegheny County, I think, really matured and sort of grew. And yeah, we saw an opening, and voters overwhelmingly decided to move on and favor a reform-minded prosecutor. The kind of wrinkle that we're in right now is that he very openly sought the Republican write-in candidacy. There was not a Republican. There was not a Republican running, and he did get about 9,000 write-in votes. So we're waiting to see what he decides to do. I don't know what he'll ultimately do, but yeah, we could do this again in the fall, which is fun.
How fun would that be? By the way,
yeah, it would be fine.
Like people change their party identification. That does happen. For me, like if you've been a Republican 24 years ago, I already have issues with that. If you change now, or try to appeal to them, I should say, that I take issue with. I do want to make clear though, I generally prefer that people who hold this sort of position have a background in criminal law. So could we just quickly check? You do have a background in criminal law, correct?
Yeah. So for the past 16 years.
Good.
Yeah, that's all right. Check that box. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For the past 16 years, I've worked in Allegheny County's legal system. I've been a public defender, so I actually serve now for a very, very small period of time in the future as Allegheny County's chief public defender. So I've been in the system for 16 years. I started as a little baby lawyer, making tons of mistakes and all that kind of stuff, and working my way up. So I've tried hundreds of cases, jury trials, represented thousands of folks throughout the system. And for the past 5 years or so, I've really had, the opportunity to work on more like macro issues, system-wide issues. So yeah, I've been involved in the system for almost 2 decades. So yeah, I feel very comfortable and confident saying that we need reform. There's real opportunity here in Allegheny County to do things differently. And that was our message on the campaign trail. And like I said, folks latched onto it.
Yeah. We've had in a couple different parts of the country, we've had more quote unquote progressive DAs come in, reform minded, and institute reforms. And in some cases, including here in LA, the reaction from the other side has been very strong. I don't know if you put yourself in that sort of camp of DAs, but when you talk about coming in and wanting reform, give us a few specifics. What are some of the things that early on in your term you would like to address?
Sure. So in Allegheny County, we do a really good job of cycling folks through our court system, our low-level nonviolent folks through our court system, without ever thinking about the core drivers that bring people into the system in the first place. So we talk about substance abuse, mental health, and instability, poverty being drivers into the system. And our big message is that we have an opportunity to think differently about the purpose and scope of our criminal justice system here. And if we can divert these folks, out of the legal system, their first instance, we have a lot of treatment courts in Allegheny County. We have mental health court, we have drug court. all of which require you to fail multiple times in the system before you become eligible for these heightened services, all require you to plead guilty to what are most likely felony charges. So we're setting people up for failure. So if we can grab these folks at the first entry into criminal justice, and we can attach services to folks who need it, we can move folks out of the criminal justice system. We don't have to seek criminal convictions. We can get people out, and it gives us the ability to focus more of our time and our resources and our energies on the prosecution of violent crime. But what we've also talked about is the legal and I think moral duty of prosecutors to talk more than just seeking convictions on violent crime, but partnering with other government actors, our next county executive, our mayor, our local lawmakers, to think about violence prevention strategies. That needs to be a message coming out of district attorney's office as well. For decades, you hear about conviction rate. I don't care about conviction rates. I want to be in the community. I want to be talking about things that impact the community and really give folks the sense that the district attorney's office is interested in seeing our communities that are most plagued by gun violence, most plagued by drugs. That doesn't have to be a fact of life. That I don't accept that as the status quo. And the district attorney's office is invested in alternative strategies, not just arrest, prosecute, punish.
Matt, I wanted to jump in because, as John alluded to, seeing progressive DAs say similar things, then having a massive recall campaign against them, which by the way, if you are elected DA and there's not a recall campaign against you, I feel like, that's that you don't have progressive accolades then. So you'll be thankful there is a recall campaign because that means you're doing something right. But specifically, it's the role of the cops, right? The role of the police and police unions, and what has been the dance and sort of your relationship with the police in Allegheny County, and what does that look like, and what do you hope it looks like in the future?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and the Mayor Gainey just hired a new chief of police, and I've actually known Larry for a long time. He used to be an officer here in Pittsburgh when I was baby PDing it up. He was an officer, so I've known him for a long time. But one of the things that I like that he said very recently is that he wants the Pittsburgh police to stop thinking of themselves as warriors, but more so as guardians, right? They are there to protect the public. What's interesting though about Allegheny County is we are more than just the city of Pittsburgh. In fact, 3/4 of our population live outside the city limits. So we actually have close to 129 other police departments, all of which are funded separately and differently, and there's disparity with respect to resources and training and the ability to hire folks. So, our communities have a lot of different relationships with their police departments. We have not talked at all about defunding police. That's not been our message. In fact, we're good with giving police more resources and more options if it means getting people help and treatment and moving folks outside of this legal system. We don't want to see the militarization of police or any investment like that. But we've come in more as a campaign and an administration that's going to work with all entities. We've rolled out a lot of projects at the public defender's office with expungements and juvenile justice projects. And we have found the only way that they were successful is if we had buy-in from other stakeholders. So, I think that there's an opportunity, especially with the progressive movement here in Allegheny County with Mayor Gainey and Sarah Innamorato, who just won the Democratic primary. There's going to be a lot of coalition building. There was on the campaign trail. There's a lot of synergy. So I think that puts us in a little bit different position than a lot of these other progressive prosecutors have found themselves in when they come into office.
Right.
So yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Larry Krasner was impeached. I don't necessarily want to be impeached, but it would, it's a badge of honor as well. That means
sure. Yeah. But so you're saying there seems to be a progressive coalition that can mount kind of a defense if different forces, unions, sort of a right-wing billionaire trying to do hit campaigns on hit jobs on you. If that ever happens, you all can kind of stick together, which is so amazing and great to hear. And for example, in San Francisco was not the case with Chesa Boudin, right, who had a more combative mayor in that case.
Yeah, and San Francisco's murder rates and violent crime rates have gone up since Chess has been out of office. So it wasn't necessarily an effective strategy.
Well, I mean, this is the thing with the DA, right? People try and blame DAs for like the lack of, violent criminals being like charged. And you're like, you realize that's not what a DA does, right? Yeah. Like, so I think the public just doesn't understand.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And that's why, that's why in the campaign I've asked people to think differently about what this position could be and why we need the help of the next county executive and their access to a $3 billion budget, $1 billion alone devoted to human services, and how that can impact entry into criminal justice, or and more importantly, exit from criminal justice. So yeah, we're not gonna stop crime rates. We're not gonna have an impact on that, but we can if we engage neighborhoods and we invest in strategies that are likely to prevent violence from occurring in the first place. Yeah. And if we're respectful of the folks who are entering the legal system as well, and that includes witnesses, victims, and defendants.
Nice. Yeah, I have always found it amazing that like some people seem to pitch it as you can have reform theoretically, but only if everything's going perfectly well. If there's any crime, then obviously you can't do that. You need to be tough on crime. Even if decades of tough on crime policies increase crime, they don't go down under that. It doesn't actually falsify the premise, and it definitely is going to be a big. It's a big thing that both the media, that a lot of people need to engage in to get people to start to question the way that those things are framed. And I think some of how you're presenting this can go a good way towards that. So we are unfortunately running low on time. What's the next step? When is the election actually happening, and where can people find out more about your candidacy?
So the election is going to be in November. I actually like the fact that I don't know the exact date, right? So that means I've taken some time off thinking about the next step. But DuganForDA.com, you can go on, you can see our policies. We're out here working, and that's how we got it. We went to every square inch of Allegheny County. We talked to every single person, in every committee and borough. We were everywhere, and more importantly, we brought the same message to everyone. We didn't talk about different issues in the city or the suburbs. We talked about the same thing everywhere: the broad need for reform, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're not going to alter our message by not even an adjective are we going to change going into the general election, because we know that these reform issues that we're talking about have broad appeal. So we're really confident. Go to our website, check us out on Twitter. But we're gonna be working hard for the next couple months.
Awesome, Matt Dugan, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Thanks so much.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.